जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gornitai 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 Jaya Gornitai 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 Jaya Gornitai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachari Ashtottara Satasri A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai Namacharya Shilaridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Bhagavan Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maiya Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Read from Prabhupada Lilamrita first, as we normally do. I've selected the wrong screen. Is the screen visible or no? You can see. No, I think it's this one.
Yes, Prabhu, the screen is visible.
Okay, but are you able to see Mercury or are you able to see Prabhupada Lilamrita?
No, only the Mercury I could see.
Oh, yeah, that's the wrong one. Okay, I'll just show here in that case. Visible now?
Yes, Prabhu, you're all good now.
Okay, I'll read the first paragraph and then perhaps I'll request others to join in and read the paragraphs one by one. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai. In February of 1960, Bhaktivedanta Swami decided to print it himself in 2 installments of Back to Godhead. The articles drew an immediate response from a physicist at the Gujarat University in Ahmedabad, Mr. Y.G. Nayak, who received Back to Godhead through the mail. Dr. Nayak thought Bhaktivedanta Swami's application of the anti-material principle was really a grand one. This is no doubt a classic essay. Dr. Nayak was interested in further discussion on physics and transcendental knowledge, and Bhaktivedanta Swami replied with equal enthusiasm, finally asking the physicist to join him in distributing the cultural heritage of India to the whole world. Okay, somebody else would like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Convinced that such an essay had great potential to interest educated English-speaking readers, Bhaktivedanta Swami worked hard to raise enough in donation to print Easy Journey to Other Planets. As the paper back book, he finally did so in the fall of 1960. A foreword by Dr. N.K. Siddhanta, Vice Chancellor of the University of Delhi, arrived late but was included in the book as an insert. While everyone may gain from it, the student community in particular is recommended to read the book with care and practice Bhakti Yoga, which will help to strengthen the mind and build up character. I shall be glad to see this book read by the students and the teachers alike. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Somebody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Okay, go ahead, Mataji.
Several Indian scientists and scholars contributed views, noting the books.
Be a bit louder, Mataji. We can't hear.
Several Indian scientists and scholars contributed reviews, noting the India. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Noting the book's scientific spiritual vision and the method of speeding over space and by mechanical acceleration of speed, but through psychological effort and
Spiritual
spiritual
emancipation.
imagination. It was only 38 pages, but it was his first publication, aside from the one-page folded newspaper. Back to Godhead. He tried to distribute the little book effectively. He gave the copy to Dr. P. Banerjee of the National Museum of New Delhi.
Okay, somebody else? Thank you.
I'll try, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dr. Banerjee, he used to come to the library and consult some books, and I met him there. He gave me a book called Easy Journey to Other Planets. He gave me some copies to distribute for a rupee or half a rupee each. Want me to continue, Prabhu?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I felt attracted to him. I thought he was a saintly person with pure devotion and without any outward glamour. He was not out to attract people just for name and fame. He had little support from anybody. He was living alone in a small room in Chippiwada. He was devoted to his studies. So I asked him, "Sir, if you have time and you don't mind coming to my house, could you kindly come on Sundays and recite the Bhagavatam in my house?" He readily agreed. He was a good scholar. He was learned in the scriptures and he was fond of communicating his ideas to others. He was a good speaker and a good conversationalist. He was very polite. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, somebody else? The other paragraphs.
Whatever he said very distinctly. He spoke in Bengali and explained the essence of the verses. Sometimes he also referred to the commentaries just to give me more information. The other were not very much interested in commentary or in difficult aspects, but because he knew that I had some studies in the field, he explained the commentaries for my sake and for the sake of one or two other gentlemen who were also very elderly and very scholarly. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, somebody else?
So,
Let's
okay.
finish what he was saying. Yeah.
The gatherings at my home would be attended by about 20 or 30 people, and he would continue his explanation for 1 or 2 hours. Then he would recite the Hare Krishna mantra, and we would also take part with kortalas and harmonium. So it was a very enjoyable gathering because he made the difficult things very easy and he explained everything to all of us according to our needs. He knew that This much is for this person, and this much is intended for this man, this much for the others.
You can continue, Prabhu.
After the meeting, he used to take a little rest in my house. I requested him to take meals in my house, but he said he did not take meals prepared by others. But when he met my wife and she said she would be happy to prepare the meals, he said, "All right, I will take." And she used to prepare meals on Sundays when he would come. He sometimes asked me how to get more and more people attracted towards this field, but as a government worker, I could not pursue anyone very openly, nor had I the time to organize anything on a big scale for him. But he was not satisfied with that. He asked me if I could organize on a bigger scale. He knew that the people who attended the meetings at my house were very old, 70, 80. One was 90 years of age, retired, educated person. So anyone else?
It's the last paragraph.
Hare Krishna. It lasted for no less than a year. After that, he said he would be trying to go out to other places. He asked me to continue the gatherings, but I said I am not initiated. He said I could continue anyway because I was born as a Brahmin. He gave me the authority to continue for some time, but I could not continue because I used to go out. I lost all interest after he left. I was a government servant. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So it's wonderful to hear this experience of Srila Prabhupada, and for people who are preaching, whether it's Bhakti, Vriksha or Namhat, we often come across similar situations where we have favorable people, but somehow things don't really fall in place for something. And we see that Prabhupada also had encountered all these situations in his life. So there's so much to learn from this Prabhupada Lilamrita. It gives us inspiration, and it also gives us the enthusiasm to keep continuing, even though initially we may not get the result as per our expectation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we will continue with Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-53. Evam adhyatma yogena karmanyanu samacharan putran utpadayam asa panchar chishyatma sammatan. Evam adhyatma yogena karmanyanu samacharan putran utpadayam asa panchar chishyatma sammatam. Evam adhyatma yogena karmanyanu samacharan putran utpadayam asa panchar chishyatma sammatam. Okay. Somebody wants to recite, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Evam adhatma yogena karmani anusamacharan utran utpadayam masha pari archishi atma sammatan. Hare Krishna.
So the last fourth line, first word is a bit tricky. So it's panchar chishyatma. So just give a pause after panchar, pause, and chishyatma is actually one word, and then it will very nicely match in the lyrics. Okay, somebody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am also trying. Evam adhatma yogena karmanna anusamacharan putran utpadayamaso panchatishatma sammatam.
Very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Evam adhyatma yogena karmanyanusamacharam putran utpadayamaso pancharchishyatma sammatan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, I am also trying. Evam adhyatma yogena karmani anusamacharan putran utpadayan asa pancharchisatma sammatan. Hare Krishna.
Okay, look at the synonyms. Evam, thus, adhyatma yogena, by the means of bhakti yoga. Karmani, activities. Anu, always. Samacharan, executing. Putran, sons. Utpadayam asa, begotten. Pancha, 5. Archishi, in his wife Archi. Atma, own. Sammatan, according to his desire. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Somebody would like to read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities but also begot 5 sons by his wife, Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru, Dandavat Pranam. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As a householder, Prithu Maharaj had 5 sons by his wife Archi, and all these sons were begotten as he desired them. They were not born whimsically or by accident. How one can beget children according to one's own desire is practically unknown in the age of Kali. In this regard, the secret of success depends on parents' acceptance of the various purificatory methods known as samskars. The first samskar is the Garbhadan samskar, or child begetting children. Samskar is compulsory, especially for higher caste, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, sex life, which is not against religious principle, is Krishna himself, and according to the religious principle, when one wants to beget a child, he must perform the Garbhadan Sanskar before having sex. This mental state of the father and mother before sex will certainly affect the mentality of the child to be begotten. A child who is begotten out of the lust may not turn out as the parents desire. As stated in the Shastra, Yata Yoni Yata Vijam. Yata Yoni indicates the mother. Yata Vijam indicates the father. If the mental state of the parents is prepared before they have sex, the child which they will beget will certainly reflect their mental condition. It is therefore understood by the words of Atma Sammatan that both Prithu Maharaj and Archie underwent the Garbhadan purificatory process before begetting children, and thus they begot all their sons according to their desire and purified mental states. Prithu Maharaj did not beget his children out of lust, nor he attracted to his wife for such gratificatory purposes. He begot the children as a grihastha for the future administration of his government all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So just before we discuss, I just wanted to highlight important points here. So the verse is Evam Adhyatma Yogena Karmani Anusamacharan Putran Utpadayam Masa Panchar Chishyatma Sammatan. So in the translation, if we see, there are three important points in this particular verse. First is that Prithu Maharaj was situated in a liberated position of devotional service. It's very important. Prithu Maharaj was not in devotional service only, he was in a liberated position of devotional service. This point is very, very important. That's first. Second is, being situated in that liberated position of devotional service, he performed all the fruitive activities that he had to perform as a matter of duty, as an ideal king, as an ideal husband, and as a part of that fruitive activity, he also begot 5 sons by his wife Archie. So that is the second point. Third point is, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. This is very important. Sammatam. So he did, we say production, the word for production in Hindi or in Sanskrit is called utpadan. So utpadan karna. So he begot children according to sammatam, according to his own desire. So these 3 points, Prabhupada has very nicely explained in this particular purport. So let's understand them one by one. One point Prabhupada has mentioned is this one, which I thought was very interesting. And we see that happening all around us. So what Prabhupada says, how one can beget children according to one's own desire is practically unknown in the present age of Kali Yuga. So a lot of people might say that, well, when you want to have children, only then you have children, because, you obviously engage in the act when you want to have children. But we also see that a lot of people who try to have kids, they try, but the lady doesn't get pregnant, the wife doesn't get pregnant. Why is that? And sometimes the fact is that they don't want to get pregnant. In fact, we see very often nowadays that, first of all, as per the Vedic system, the boy and the girl are supposed to get married at a particular age. I'll just stop screen sharing. Is my screen still showing, or you can see me?
No, Prabhu, there is not share screen.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So so we were discussing that nowadays the boy and girl, they don't want to get married at a recommended age, because everybody would like to study and settle down in life, whatever that means. So when you settle down means the boy should be earning enough and having his own house, and then he plans to get married. The girl is sometimes similar. She wants to have her education, get a career, and then think of marriage, right? So by the time they have a career, by the time a person completes his education, and he's almost, in his 20s, early 20s, depending on what profession it is, some courses like 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. So then it takes at least 5 to 6 years or 10 years to settle down, that is, make enough money and buy a house. So by the time they are settled, so as to say, in their own perception or context, the boy is 30, the girl is also close to 30. And because they have their own lifestyle that they have been leading after they've finished their education, it is very difficult for them to change their lifestyle and adjust with somebody else, right? So when the proposals come or they start looking at or considering marriage, they don't feel they've got somebody who is really compatible. So that decision gets postponed. And then supposing somehow or the other, okay, things work out and they get married, they don't want to have children straight away because they want to enjoy life a little bit, isn't it? And by the time they actually decide, okay, now we'll have children, the girl is 35 plus, the husband is a bit more than that, hopefully, or maybe even young nowadays, who knows? But anyway, both of them are around 35. And it is said that after the age of 30, the chances of pregnancy become less. And after the age of 35, it becomes even difficult. And 40, it's not dangerous, but it's not ideal. The body is not able to cope up with the pregnancy. But still, people are not aware of this and they keep trying. And in spite of trying so much, after they reach 35 and they want to have children, now they want to have children, they are settled, they've got money, but she can't conceive. And they go to all of these treatments and all of these problems, they go on and they get frustrated. Sometimes they have to just be without a kid, or if they have a kid later on in life, it comes with its own sets of problems and challenges, which was unknown to them when they decided to go in that direction. So we see this whole current society and the way people have taken their, or they perceive their life to be based on their conception of being settled is completely against the Vedic system, which clearly works or benefits us as individuals, not only to do the right thing at the right time, but also make spiritual progress as we go along in our life. This is the entire purpose of Vedic culture. It is not just some whimsically thought of exercise that some Muni Rishis have perceived, which some people think. It is purely and purely for our benefit. So if we don't take advantage of this culture, this system, then it is our loss. And we see that happening around us. So this particular verse, it talks about following the Vedic system or the samskaras. It is said that Janmana Jayate Shudra, Samskarat Bhave Dvija, Veda Pathat Bhave Vipraha, Brahman Janati Iti Brahmana. So it is said that Janmana Jayate, so from birth, everybody is a born Shudra. Samskarat Bhave Dvija, so everybody is born a Shudra, so they have to take another birth through the samskaras, the appropriate samskaras, which are, what does a samskar mean? Samskar means it is a purificatory process meant for human beings. Without the purificatory process, a human being is actually an animal. If the human being goes through the samskaras, he can be fit to be called a human being. And that's why it is called a second birth. So he gets a second birth, Dvija. And then Veda Pathat. So when we engage in the study of scriptures, and in our case, obviously, scriptures that relate or take us towards the path of bhakti, then they are called Vipra. And a person who, after studying the Vedas, will follow the process, they come to the level of Brahman. Understand what is Brahman. Such a person is called a Brahmana by his activities. So the samskar is very, very important. So Prabhupada writes over here in this purport that first samskar that a person experiences or has to go through is a samskar that happens before he takes birth. So it has to be done by the parents of that person before this person is even born or is even conceived, for that matter. So even before we are conceived, there should be a samskara for welcoming us in this material world. How many do that? How many of us have gone through a Garbhadhana samskar? So practically, very, 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 very few. You can count perhaps on your fingers, that many people. Of course, it's an elaborate process, some other day discussion, but essentially that's important. And then right from the time the child, so this is before the child is even conceived. And then, of course, after the child is conceived, there are samskaras. After the child is born, there are samskaras. Right up to the time his annaprashan, his marriage. And the last samskara is the anteshti, which is after the person gives up this material body. So this is very, very important. Now, Prabhupada writes that how one can get children according to one's own desire. Now, what do you mean by that? And as I had mentioned, it is not that whenever somebody wants, whimsically, they can get a child. In fact, nowadays, people don't want to have a child. So if we go by this statement that Prabhupada says that the secret of begetting a child as per one's desire, we can perhaps understand that as family planning, right? You're planning a family, or you're planning to increase your family by begetting children. That's family planning. Now, in the current Kali Yuga situation, or I'm sure many of you who are listening today, in our childhood, at least in my childhood, I know, the word family planning, this was early 70s or to late 70s. The word family planning meant what? Having no children, or enjoying but not getting pregnant. That used to be called family planning, or that was a perception. So a lot of methods were used at that time, in fact, even propagated by the government to for the use by the lady or the man before they want to enjoy, so that they can completely enjoy themselves, but they don't want to go through or get stressed about the girl getting pregnant. That was family planning. But the Vedic family planning is what? It is to have the child as per one's desire. And that starts from the Garbhadhana samskara. And here another point is that it is mentioned, Prabhupada writes that this samskara, of course, is completely unknown to people. Only when we come to Srila Prabhupada's process and his books, we even understand the word samskara. Before that, we don't even know or understand it properly, even if we know about it a little bit. So in modern societies, we see people, very few people actually even plan for a child. Forget Garbhadhana Samskar, even plan for a child. They want to enjoy, and in the process of enjoyment, after suddenly the wife realizes that, oops, I'm pregnant. And usually, like, in the Vedic culture, when the wife is pregnant and she very shyly comes in front of the husband and says, I'm pregnant. And what happens to the husband? Wow, so nice. They never ask, boy or girl? Pregnant, very good. So now we need to inform our parents and take blessings and take care, because the wife has to go through so much, things. She has to restrict her eating, her activities, and focus on certain things only, devotional activities, so that the child can get the right consciousness. So the second part Prabhupada talks about is consciousness. I'll just come back to that. Nowadays, especially when couples are enjoying, nowadays we don't even know whether they are married or not. That's another story. When they're enjoying, and the presumably wife or partner says, I'm pregnant. Usually, what is the reaction of the husband? Oh my God, how did you get pregnant? As if, he had nothing to do with it. Sometimes it also happens like that, in a society that we are. But, how did you get pregnant? Oh, why did you get pregnant? Oh my God, now I'm going to, we'll have so many extra expenses and I have to do this and that. And he thinks about all the things that he has to sacrifice if the child is born or after the child is born. He thinks more of that. And the wife is also thinking more of that. So when she conceives and she realizes she's pregnant, what is the consciousness? I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you. Why did you come? So imagine this is the consciousness that is coming onto the child as it is growing. Why? Because people don't think that the consciousness of the mother and father actually goes or becomes a part of the child's consciousness. There is no information about this at all. So when a father and a mother is thinking like this, that this child has just come by accident. That's why Prabhupada writes the word whimsically or accident, has come by accident. They don't want the child. So when the child is born, when the child is in the womb, the child is thinking, I'm unwanted, I'm unwanted, I'm unwanted. Now imagine the parents, because of that act, they have actually invited a soul to come, right? Now, after they're invited, they may not realize that they have invited, but actually they have. After the soul comes in, imagine the parents are saying, we don't want you, we don't want you, you don't want to, you came by accident. Forget womb. If somebody calls us to their house, invites us, and we go there, they open the door and they see us and they say, oh my God, this guy has come again. Oh my God, I have to put prasadam, I have to give this, and too much. You have come again. Imagine at the door, after being invited, somebody telling you like this. How will you feel? You tell me. So imagine how the child must be feeling in the womb when these discussions or conversations are going on between the husband and the wife. Not very good, right? So such a person, after the soul is ready to come out of the womb, what kind of consciousness will that person have? You can tell. So the child is born an unwanted child. And so Prabhupada uses this word in Bhagavad Gita as well. It is unwanted progeny. So when somebody is unwanted, they feel they are always disturbed. They're always agitated. So the whole family, as soon as a child is born, rather than being happy, they become more agitated. And as the child grows up, they become even more agitated. And there is never any peace, any harmony in such a family. And if one family is not peaceful and not harmonious, when this family is going to interact with the world outside, what is it going to spread? Unhappiness, disharmony. And that is what is happening in the society today. So you see, this verse is so important for us to understand this very, very important fact. So this, Prabhupada says that the child who has been begotten out of lust will not turn out as per the parent's desire. So here we have to understand two things. One is having a child when the parents want to have a child as per the parent's desire is one part. So you want to have a kid, you engage in the samskara, and you have a child as per your desire. That is the first part. But that is only one part. Not so as having a child as per desire doesn't mean he's come out of the womb because I desired like that. No. That is only one part. More important part of the child being born as per the parent's desire is the child will have the consciousness after it is born as per the parent's desire. This is very important. Very, very important. Because the parents, they are producing a child or they are begetting a child for a purpose. And here, Prabhupada, towards the end of this purport, he writes that Prithu Maharaj did not beget these sons or these children just out of lust. I want to enjoy with my wife and doesn't matter if she gets pregnant, I'll keep enjoying. No, that was not the mood or intention. So he wanted the children. Why? It is mentioned in the last part of this purport. He begot the children as a grihastha for the future administration of the government all over the world. So for him, getting a child was not just sense gratification, was not just to produce children who could help him or help him make more money or help him gratify his senses in a better way by accepting their service on a personal level. That was not the purpose. He had a bigger and a wider purpose of his children taking over the kingdom and ruling like him or better than him after he retires from these kingly duties. So in modern management language, we call this as an exit strategy, that a person who has established something, he needs to hand over to somebody who is eligible, qualified, and retire. Why? Because then that system that he has created, this empire that he has created, will function very, very effectively, efficiently, and it will grow. Every father, every parent wants their child to give the child the legacy, and wants the child to grow that legacy, to become bigger than the father, what the father has achieved, or what the mother has achieved. Is it not? No. When the children, they do better than the parents' expectation or what the parents have achieved, who feels very proud? The parents. They feel even proud. It is said that, sometimes when somebody is famous, they are known by that name, he's so-and-so. But when the child becomes or achieves more fame, then he's that person. The parent is not known by their name anymore. They are known as the father or mother of that particular child. And it actually gives the parents more pride in terms of the fact that the kids have done better than what they had anticipated. So this was very important. So Maharaj Prithu, he got 5 children, 5 sons from his wife. Nowadays, even getting 5 kids is a task. Nobody would like to even go there. And having 5 kids from the same wife, as we move ahead in this Kali Yuga, is also something that is getting rare. The person might have 5 kids, but whether the mother is the same is a questionable part. So this is the society we are in. Can you imagine, where we are heading towards? If we don't have this knowledge, if we don't understand the system, the process that is given to us for our own benefit, then we will also by default become an animal. In the form of an human being, we are just walking animals. But a person who follows this process, this system, understands the importance of this system, will be completely attached to this system for their own benefit. And ultimately, why was this being done? For a bigger benefit of the kingdom. So we can see that this whole chapter 22, right from 49 to 63, and we are somewhere in the middle, 53 at the moment. So till 63, all of these verses, they glorify Prithu Maharaj. And it talks about different qualities of Prithu Maharaj. And specifically, in this particular verse, this whole aspect of creating progeny for a higher purpose with the right samskaras has been described. In Bhagavatam, there is another verse from 5th canto where Rishabdev is giving an instruction to his sons. So it goes like this: Gurur nacha syat svajano nacha syat pita nacha syat janani nacha syat daivam natatsyan napatis chasasyan namo chayedya samapeta mrityum. So it says that one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual father or a father, husband, mother, or worshipable demigod or devata. So if you cannot deliver your dependents, so everybody is usually a father or a mother at least. Some people, they also become guides, mentors, guru, formal or informal. So anybody who has the responsibility towards somebody who is dependent on that person as a matter of duty, this person on whom people are dependent must do or must teach them the way to get out of this cycle of birth and death. If they are unable to do that, they should not take that responsibility. So if we are not able to give Krishna consciousness to our children, to teach them the methods, the process of getting out of this material world, this miserable material world, then we have no business to produce children. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati once said that if I could produce Krishna conscious children, then I would have sex hundreds of times. Imagine a Naistik brahmachari making such a strong statement. So first of all, it is not easy to produce Krishna conscious children, as we have just discussed. Secondly, to take on that responsibility is not an easy job. So all the grihasthas, they have got a very big job at hand. And on this grihastha ashram, all the other ashrams are supported. So if the grihastha ashram is not strong, the grihasthas are not taken care of each other, taking care of other grihasthas, then all other ashramas cannot exist in a nice way. So this is very, very important. And in Bhagavatam, we see there are many, many instances where Garbhadhan Samskara was performed nicely and the child was good. There was also an instance in Bhagavatam where Garbhadhana Samskara was not done and the result was disastrous. Can anybody give an example from Bhagavatam for both those two? So where the Garbhadana Sanskar was done properly, and one where it was not done properly, and the results of both of them. Anybody? You can think of.
Was not done Hiranyakashipu and
Yes.
Hiranyaksha.
Yes, correct.
And
How do you know the Garbhadana Samskar was not done?
because at the odd time they want to unite
Yes.
the Kasyap Muni.
Yes, correct. 100%. So it was done, they engaged in the act at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And the wife was also warned by the husband that it's a wrong time, but she just couldn't
Did
control.
not listen. Yeah.
Yeah. So the result was disaster.
Bad. Yeah.
And an example where it was followed. I mean, there are many, but one that comes to my mind is
even in the one when Ramchandra was born, even the Garbhadana Sanskar.
yes, absolutely. When Ramchandra was born, it was there. Even when Vaman Dev was born, because the example Sitarandani Mataji gave was Hiranyakashipu, right? So Hiranyakashipu's father was who?
Kashyap.
Kashyap Muni and
Diti.
Diti. So Kashyap and Diti, when they united in the wrong time without Garbhadana Samskar, demons appeared. But when the same Kashyap united with Aditi,
yeah,
she got Vaman Dev.
Yeah.
Even Kandarbha Muni
Yes.
and Devahuti, yeah,
Correct.
they begot their children. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So you see, in Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is not just a story. Bhagavatam is history from where we have to learn. So all these verses that that purport Prabhupada gives us in such a simple, easy to understand way, all we have to do is understand the important points or themes. And all of these important themes are covered by wonderful examples in Bhagavatam itself. So this discussion is so enriching, so enlivening, and so enthusiastic that you get so much out of it to apply in our own lives. It doesn't matter how old we are and how new we are to this process. We must keep going at it. So that is a wonderful example. And the fact that the consciousness of the parents come to the children, there are so many examples in Bhagavatam or in any of these related stories from Ramayana and from Mahabharata. So we have Abhimanyu, who learned the whole art in the womb of Chakravyuh, right? He was never formally instructed. The mother heard from the father that too she was sleeping. So mother forgot, but he remembered. Can you imagine? Same thing with Prahlad Maharaj. Narad was instructing Kayadu. Kayadu fell asleep, but Prahlad, everything he remembered perfectly. So it is so powerful, when the child is in the womb, to take the mother's consciousness is so powerful, so sensitive. It's very, very important. So at the end of the day, 3 things to remember. One is, first, we have to understand the importance of our Grihastha life and the importance of samskaras, which have to be done appropriately under the right guidance. We should not whimsically follow everything as per the books and get into trouble, or we should not neglect them. They have to be done appropriately under the right guidance. So these samskaras are very, very important. Number 1. Number 2 is, we are in the Grihastha life, we have to engage in fruitive activities. So to keep us focused, to keep us on the right track, having advancement or advancing in devotional service is very important. So the first line, this verse starts off with Adhyatma Yogena. So he says that being in a liberated position of devotional service, Maharaj Prithu could achieve all of that. We have just started our devotional service. We are in that journey. We cannot expect to to become like this or to engage in fruitive activities but not get attracted to it. We are attracted. But the more we engage in devotional service with more sincerity and make advancement in that, automatically our material attachment will become less and less and less. It might not become zero. And when it becomes zero, what's going to happen? As soon as our material attachment becomes zero, we cannot exist in this material world, in this material body. Garud will be waiting for us. So attachments will be there, but we have to minimize. But we don't focus on that. We focus on devotional service and making advancement. And the right way is to associate with like-minded devotees who have made advancement. We can actually perceive that and get inspired and enthused by their example and lead our life accordingly, both by following the spiritual principles and by following the principles in our material life as well. And then it doesn't become a spiritual life and a material life. Everything in our life becomes spiritualized. And that is the secret of our progress spiritually as given by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur. So thank you very much. If there's any comments, questions, you can let me know, or you want to add something that I have missed. Gone a bit over time, so sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Dandot Pranam.
A beautiful class as always you share with us. It's wonderful text too. Such a very, very deep information through this text. It looks like simple, but it has a deep-rooted meaning throughout our life, and it only guides our life and the life cycle and how we believe it. It's such an important thing, and you have demonstrated such a good way that how this Janmana Jayate, the whole this text, it has given 4 sections of how to maintain the sanskar and how these stages comes in. Dija, Vipra, and ultimately Brahman is so important in our life. It carries the whole value of our life, and that it goes and follow the children. Follow children also follow the same way as we follow in ourselves. But the question, my questions today, then what is the rescue for that?
Rescue for?
For this unwanted, or you can say whimsical progeny in our life, and how can be rectified?
Through education.
Yeah.
First is, if people are not aware, how will they even do it? See, even we were not aware of the process of bhakti. But once we were told, once we understood the importance, we started, changing our lifestyle. So education is very important. That's why Prabhupada emphasized on preaching. Preaching is not just to get people just to chant. That is just one of the things. Preaching is to change their whole lifestyle so that they're able to be peaceful and do their duties properly and ultimately achieve the ultimate destination. So education is very important.
Thank you so much.
Prabhu, just in this regard, if someone, they don't want to take the knowledge, so what of them, how we can reach for them?
Well, you put a knife in their throat and you tell them you follow or you die.
Because they are going to tell you, oh, we know everything, we don't want. Some are there.
See, that will always be the case.
Yeah.
Today we read in Prabhupada Lilamrita, right? Dr.
Yes.
Banerjee. So he was so favorable, but at the same time, he didn't take up the process.
Yes.
You see, he was very favorable. He in fact gave his place and he was encouraging and he was discussing with Prabhupada, but he didn't take up. So sometimes what we forget is we should not, even in bhakti, even in preaching, we become attached to the result. That karmanye vadikaraste verse is not just for doing material things. Even spiritual activities, we become attached to the result. Of course, result gives us motivation. I'm not saying that. But we should not be attached because I'm preaching, this person must from tomorrow start 16 rounds and he must come to the temple, get initiated. In 1 year, I want him initiated. No, that is not the purpose. Purpose is to share the message of Srila Prabhupada, of Krishna with that person. And to systematically give him that information. Because if we know everybody is wanting that information, but we don't know what their baggage is, what their conditioning is. So sometimes when we give the information, they are not even accepting, they're not even hearing us. I mean, when I say hearing, they're sitting and looking at you. But how many of them are actually hearing, allowing it to go inside? We don't know. That's between them and Krishna. So we do our work. We have been given the opportunity to discuss about Krishna, about devotional service. We do that to the best of our ability. And we try to make ourselves better. So what we have done when we do Kartik programs, we go to the house, or when we do home programs, we go and we do communicate in a certain way. So we should try and see if that works, great. If that doesn't work, change strategy. That means what we are doing is not working. That doesn't mean we keep doing the same thing again and again. We can change the strategy, but the goal should be one, that we are here to communicate. That's all. Result is based on Krishna. That we should not be aware. Prabhupada used to say, your job is to give my book to somebody, bring him to the temple, put him in front of the deities, and you get out. Let Krishna and him have that relationship.
Thank you, Prabhu.
That's it.
Yeah, keep on trying, and our quality will be increased by the tolerance and patience.
And we should always increase our standard. So our own education, our own association has to become very intense and advanced. And so every time we communicate, there has to be some growth, some changes in what we are also doing. We should also have to improve.
Thank you, Prabhu. True.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Just a quick comment, Prabhu. It's a wonderful class. I wish I would have listened to this before I had my children. But I will send this link to all the young people whom I know going to get children. See how much they can take. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Okay, any other comments? From Nandavraj Prabhu. It's just seeing it now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Nandavraj Prabhu has requested, it's a very valuable information to share. If a seminar can be held on that, yes.
Yeah, I just saw the chat just now. Yeah, it's actually something very relevant. And, I'm pretty sure none of us today in this forum had that opportunity when, we had that, we were in that stage of life. So what we lost, let's share and give it to others who are at least interested in this regard. So yeah, I mean, we can definitely organize something. And all this actually comes as part of the Grihastha community. Grihastha have got different needs. So to identify these needs and to give them education, information, knowledge, skills, and the values is very, very important, and it's an ongoing process. Unfortunately, it's not happening in a very systemized way, at least in this congregation here. So it's something that, some devotees can come together and plan for the benefit of everybody here. I'm open to that idea. So yeah, maybe we should talk later on. Thank you. Thank you, Nandavraj Prabhu, for your feedback. Okay. Fine, looks like all good for today.
Vancha
Kalpatarubyascha
कृपासिन्धुभ्य
एव
एव
च
च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमः
अनंतकोटि
कोटि
वैष्णव वृंद
वैष्णव वृंद
की
की
जय।
जय।
Srila Prabhupada ki
His
jai.
grace Suhrit Krishna Prabhu
प्रभु
की
की
जय।
जय।
Bhagavad
Lord
Gita.
Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All
Hari Hari
glories
Bol.
to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.